Halloween is the perfect time to indulge in sweet treats, but not all Halloween candy is created equal. We've ranked the most popular Halloween candy from worst to first. From candy corn to Jolly Ranchers, learn which sweets trick-or-treaters will be in search of this Halloween.
It's official! Candy corn is actually the worst Halloween candy.
The fact that candy corn hits the mainstream every year when Halloween rolls around is so very confusing. It seems like nobody really likes this candy. The few who claim to like it are likely just clinging onto fond Halloween memories from their childhood. Everything about candy corn is terrible. It has a gross waxy texture that causes you to gag unless you're prepared. If you power through the putrid texture, the flavor does you no favors. There's nothing fancy about it. It basically resembles a combination of candle wax and corn syrup. If candy corn is so disgusting, how come more than 9 billion kernels of this candy are produced every year? The only explanation is that it's just a collective bad habit at this point. Perhaps the orange, yellow, and white on the candy corn convinces people that this is the quintessential candy of autumn, and specifically Halloween. However, this Halloween, do yourself a favor and refuse all pieces of the sweet tricolored earwax. If candy corn is the only treat available, demand a trick instead. Dubble Bubble is such a bad Halloween candy that it's legitimately neck and neck with candy corn for this ranking's bottom spot. First of all, the flavor of this bubblegum is so slight that it's completely forgettable. You can taste it for a few chews, but then it's gone. Compare it to other gums on the market, and its boring flavor is laughable. Secondly, it's a relatively dangerous candy. Ask anyone who has struggled to get bubblegum out of carpeting, or worse yet, human hair, and ask them how much trouble the gum can cause. Thirdly, Dubble Bubble is simply a colossal waste of time. After a couple of chews, you basically have a piece of pale rubber in your mouth. Spit out this bubblegum and just say no from now on. Butterfinger is the type of treat that you love when you're little, but then you like less and less as you age. By the time you're an adult, it's possible that you go out of your way to avoid eating this candy bar. If you haven't eaten a Butterfinger in a while, do yourself a favor and keep it that way. Even if you think you would enjoy it, you should know that Butterfinger changed the recipe in 2019, and plenty of people would tell you that change was for the worst. When it comes to overrated Halloween candy, Hershey's Kisses are at the front of that line. When you're presented with a kiss, you'll probably be receptive, but by the end of the experience, you'll wonder why you went through with it. Unwrapping Hershey's Kisses isn't always the simplest of tasks, especially when you're multitasking. Ending up with a bit of chocolate under one of your nails is a common misstep. Once you have the wrapper open and you've introduced the kiss to your lips, your taste buds will be underwhelmed. Hershey's Kisses aren't terrible, but this waxy version of chocolate isn't anything special either. The one word that perfectly describes Swedish Fish is meh. The texture isn't great, but it also isn't horrible. The flavor isn't very notable, but there's just enough of it to keep you coming back for one more fish. Compared to candy corn, Swedish Fish taste amazing, but that's a low bar to use as a comparison. If you've never tasted Swedish Fish, the first time they go swimming around your tongue, you won't be able to put your finger on exactly what it is you're tasting. Is it dark cherry? Is it wild strawberry? Is it some type of fruit juice punch? Considering that nobody really knows the answer, you won't be alone in your state of confusion.
There are people who love candy but have never tried Swedish Fish.
That's right. There are still some people who have no idea what it tastes like.
The most likely answer is that Swedish Fish tastes like lingonberry, a type of berry that is popular in Sweden, but that has never been confirmed. The answer that surprisingly makes the most sense is that Swedish Fish just tastes like the color red. Tootsie Pops are another mediocre Halloween candy. Once you've finished eating one of these lollipops, you will realize it may not be worth all the effort. Invented all the way back in 1931, Tootsie Pops really became famous after their iconic commercial was released in 1970. In the commercial, a kid goes around to different animals to see if any animal knows how many licks it takes to get to the Tootsie Roll in the middle of the lollipop. None of the animals know the answer or have the patience to find out. Fast forward 50 years and the sentiment remains the same. While a Tootsie Pop has a decent taste and the Tootsie Roll in the middle also tastes okay, nothing about this treat makes it worth wasting time on. Just like Mr. Owl, we all eventually just bite into the lollipop just to get it over with and get on to better tasting candy. Whether you'll be satisfied by a Milky Way candy bar on Halloween depends on one thing: the size of the bar. If it's a mini Milky Way, you're doomed to be left unsatisfied. When a Milky Way is miniaturized, the chocolate, nougat, and caramel will essentially evaporate in your mouth after a bite or two. Before your taste buds can even attempt to enjoy it, the candy bar will already have disappeared. Conversely, if you get a Milky Way that is the original size, that thing will have enough heft to it that you can fully enjoy it as you savor each bite. Sadly, on Halloween, you're more likely to get the mini version than the original. If you are obsessed with dark chocolate candy bars, a Milky Way Midnight Dark is something you will love. It has a really bold dark chocolate flavor that is perfectly offset by a sweet splash of caramel. Jolly Ranchers could be higher on this ranking, but there is such a big disparity between their tasty flavors and their crummy flavors that the candy as a whole ends up stuck in the middle of the pack. If you get lucky and you get a green apple or a watermelon Jolly Rancher, you'll be thrilled. However, on the other side of the coin, if you get a grape Jolly Rancher, you will either spit it out or crack your teeth chewing it to make it leave your mouth quicker. With an origin story that began in 1959, Starbursts have been a popular Halloween candy for decades now. While no one really celebrates getting Starbursts in their Halloween bag, no one is overly disappointed either. This is a run-of-the-mill candy that does its job. Nothing more, nothing less. In terms of texture, Starburst can be a bit hit or miss. If the pieces of candy are old, they tend to go hard on the outside. That said, the texture isn't as erratic as something like saltwater taffy. Even when a Starburst is hard to chew at first, it will usually soften within a few seconds. Kit Kats are the first candy on this list that grades out as significantly above average. If you get a Kit Kat bar on Halloween, you can't help but smile. The best attribute of this candy is its satisfying crunch, even if you get the miniature snack size version. Sure, the full-size one is better, but Kit Kats are the rare candy in which size truly doesn't matter. Additionally, Kit Kats come in an exciting variety of flavors like pumpkin and even wasabi. In fact, there are approximately 400 different flavors on the market in Japan. While some of those flavors are better than others, they're all fascinating enough to try at least once.
The Japanese eat an amazing 4 million Kit Kats every day, making Kit Kat the #1 Japanese chocolate brand.
Even if you aren't visiting Japan anytime soon, you can find many exotic Kit Kat flavors online if you look hard enough. And you can order them from the comfort of your living room couch. With so many sweet candies invading everyone's Halloween bags, adding some spiciness to the mix is always a welcome reprieve. Thanks to an abundance of cinnamon flavor, hot tamales are a candy that is sure to set your taste buds on fire. In the most gentle way possible, of course. Not only are hot tamales popular enough to make this ranking, but they're also actually the most popular Halloween candy in Arizona. And if there's one thing we know about Arizonans, it's that they know their heat. When the thought of another sweet candy on Halloween is enough to make you gag, reach for a box of hot tamales. The cinnamon flavoring isn't too overpowering, but it's powerful enough to act as the perfect change of pace. Considering that each hot tamale has only 7 calories, you can eat a handful without an ounce of regret. When you're finished, you can switch back to something more sweet. The classic goodness you feel when you're eating M&ms is palpable. There's just something so comforting and so right about eating these button-shaped candies. Even on Halloween, when you're met with a wide array of candy options, M&Ms are a trustworthy choice to bring you happiness. Plus, when you're busy juggling a whole lot of different candies on Halloween, it's helpful that M&Ms don't melt in your hand. If your Halloween candy gets jumbled up and you can't tell which candies are which, M&Ms will stand out due to the M stamped on each piece of candy. That was originally done to thwart counterfeits, but it becomes especially useful on Halloween. For those of you who try to hoard the green M&Ms due to their supposed aphrodisiac properties, it must be reported that the rumor is sadly not true. What is true is that all colors and all types of M&Ms, from milk chocolate to peanut to pretzel, taste very good.
You ate the new Spokes candy?
Not all of him.
Like hot tamales, Sour Patch Kids offer some needed flavor diversity on Halloween. First introduced in 1985, instead of being spicy like hot tamales, Sour Patch Kids hit your taste buds head-on with a blast of sourness that will make you pucker with delight. After the sourness dissipates, you're then confronted with a spurt of sweetness. All in all, it's an enjoyable roller coaster ride for your senses. Not only do Sour Patch Kids have an entertaining taste, but the texture of this candy is also immaculate. Of all the soft, chewy candies on the market, these sour and sweet goodies feel the best when they're inhabiting your mouth. They're always pillowy soft, and their chewiness allows you to thoroughly enjoy the candy without it becoming a chore. If you can't get enough of the sourness, consider upgrading the sour factor with Sour Patch Kids Extreme. These bad boys will cause an extra amount of puckering, but they still have the same soothing sweet aftertaste. Snickers are a Halloween mainstay that never gets old. If you loved these candy bars when you were growing up, you'll still love them today. Unlike the aforementioned Butterfinger disaster, it doesn't taste as if Snickers has ever messed with their recipe. Like Kit Kats, Snickers still taste good even if you only have a fun-size version, or the even smaller mini version at your disposal. But the great thing about a full-size Snickers bar is that it's so hearty that it can legitimately take the place of a meal. The caramel, peanuts, nougat, and milk chocolate combine to be a filling foursome that will leave you completely satiated. Snickers are so popular with trick-or-treaters that production for Halloween begins in the spring. In fact, around 400 million Snickers bars are sold per year. If you want to be a Halloween hero, hand out full-size Snickers to every man, woman, or child who comes to your door. Your neighborhood will love you forever. When it comes to sweet, chewy candies on Halloween, Skittles are by far the best. It's safe to say they have mastered their craft. Once you bite into a Skittle, you're met with a flavor explosion in your mouth. As you continue to chew, the flavor continues to pop. All the flavors are fantastic in their own individual way. For that reason, it's advisable to always eat Skittles one at a time. Otherwise, you won't be able to bask in the true majesty of this sweet treat. There was once an unfortunate rumor that all Skittles actually have the same flavor. That rumor was, of course, completely debunked. While M&Ms and even Fruit Loops, believe it or not, all have the same flavor regardless of color, that's not the case with Skittles. Close your eyes, pick a random Skittle, put it in your mouth, and you will instantly know the flavor and the corresponding color. Whenever the topic of the best candy is discussed, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are almost always crowned the winner. According to a 2019 poll, 36% of Americans have deemed Reese's Peanut Butter Cups the ultimate Halloween candy, and for good reason. The chocolatey taste and the peanut buttery taste join forces to create a scrumptious flavor that is unrivaled in the candy universe. When trick-or-treaters are going door to door, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are the treasures they are after. Offer up these goodies on Halloween and the happy recipients will act as if they are being handed the Holy Grail. If this is the only candy you eat on the spookiest day of the year, you will still believe you had a very fine and rewarding day. Around Halloween, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are available in a variety of different shapes, sizes, and flavors. From white chocolate ghosts to milk chocolate pumpkins, all of these treats are outstanding and will make for a joyful addition to any person's Halloween candy bag. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more match videos about your favorite holiday foods are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.